Timeless 106.1 FM KFFB. Thanks so much for joining us for another edition of our open mic program. And as our weekly update we're getting from now D.C., we do have Senator John Boozman. And Senator, it's good to know you are back in D.C. and work is stacking up.
Well, we appreciate that, Bob. It is good to be back, and we're back. We're exercising the appropriate caution and things like that. But there's just some things you can't do unless you're discussing as a group. And so we're excited about being in that situation. We've already started out getting some things done. And so that's so important. We've got the COVID situation that we deal with, but also we've got so many other things that are just kind of the underpinning of the country regarding transportation, regarding our water resources type things, all of those kind of things that, again, are very, very important.
Well, you're looking at the stacking up when we talk about that. There is a lot of things that need attention. And what's the hit list right now for the Senate?
Well, earlier this week, we were able to pass unanimously, Democrats and Republicans working together, the big water resources bill. This is the bill that has to do with our inland waterways, our ports, our harbors, things like that. Voted that out of committee, had a committee hearing, discussed that bill. Some amendments were offered, all of the things that it takes to get legislation passed. And at the end of the day, I think we came up with a very, very good product that had really a lot of things that were important to Arkansas. It had to do with navigation on the Arkansas River. There were things in there regarding levees, levee safety. We have so many levees in Arkansas, getting the Corps to do a better job of helping out with that, giving us good advice. We were also able to, on the projects that have to do with building various structures on our rivers, our ports, our harbors, and things like that, we were able to lower the amount that the sponsor had to pay. In other words, the federal government in the past has paid 50% and the state or the local sponsor 50%. We were able to raise that to 65% on the federal pay and then 35% locally. And as a result, we'll be able to get a lot more projects done because of that. So, and in getting these projects done, it's okay to spend money when the return is much greater than what you spend. And so this makes our ability to transport products and things that much better. 40% of the agricultural crops that we grow in Arkansas are exported someplace else in the world. A lot of that is done by barge. We're blessed. We've got these big steel plants. We've got so many plants that depend on our inland waterways, the Mississippi, the Arkansas River, our other navigable, situations. So it's important that we take care of those. And as a result, it just makes for greater efficiency, allows us to sell products overseas, and then also lowers the cost to the consumer. So I could go on and on. Again, these things really are very, very important.
Especially when you see a unanimous vote this day and time. I mean, that's just awesome.
It is very, very good. I was really pleased. And the Environment and Public Works Committee, the Public Works part of that, has a long history of working together. We were able to pass the big highway reauthorization bill out of that committee a few months ago. Again, that was a unanimous vote. So those are things that we can be proud of. And it just shows that when push comes to shove, we can work together. We can find agreement on some things and move the country forward.
Now, what is on the radar for next week?
Well, the next thing that is so important is the appropriations process. So every year we decide how we spend the discretionary income of the federal government. And that's the component that we spend on defense. It's the component we spend on education, things like the FBI and all of those kind of things. And the list goes on and on. So we will 12 subcommittees. And so we're in the process of deciding, who gets what allocation for, particular things. So that again is like we talked about the water projects. This is something that is very important, and there'll be a lot of discussion. And hopefully at the end of the day, we can come to an agreement so that we can get our spending priorities together and do it in an efficient manner.
One thing that we look at, talking about the coronavirus, we talked about that for so many days. And now Congress getting back to work, it almost feels like you guys are leading the way, that America's got to get it back to work. But I know your colleagues must be kind of curious how Arkansas really has done a very good job of social distancing and doing everything that the governor was asking. And we're opening up our economy slowly, but in steps and phases. How has it felt there in D.C.? A lot of questions?
Well, there has been some questions as to how, we were able to do that. And we've had, really good leadership from the governor and then also from Nate Smith, Cam Patterson, all of our infectious disease experts. They've done a really good job. And then, two, we're really blessed, Bob, or not blessed. It's just the makeup of our state. We don't have some of these really large cities where people are packed together so very closely. And that makes a difference. We're a little bit more spread out. The other thing that we've had is we've had excellent health care so that when people have gotten sick, we've done a really good job of taking care of them. It's just been everybody working together. So I've really been proud to be able to talk about the success that we've had.
And one thing I noticed that there was monies for the local hospitals and nursing homes as well, and that care pack. And that was so important. As we still say, the nursing homes are still locked down, and nobody's really talking about when that's going to change.
Well, that group of individuals we need to protect because they're the most at risk. Because of that, we just need to do all that we can to make sure that they are protected. And then also, if there's any evidence of sickness or whatever, we can respond to that. Testing is so important, and the testing is becoming much more available every day. That's a good thing. We can't let our guard down, but that is a very vulnerable group of people. I feel so bad for and wife Kathy's in the same situation. Her mom is in assisted living, and because of that, she can't go visit her and her sisters and brother. And so because of that, it's these people that are working, in those areas really are heroes in the sense that they're taking care of the normal functions that they had to. They're also taking care of the needs of the people that are living there and going above and beyond the call of duty and trying to help families and then also, trying to give some just support, in ways that they haven't had to in the past. So we can be very, very thankful for their efforts and the great job that they've done.
Talking about the test, the governor said that his goal, and they're going to get it looks like, because they've got to do over 2,000 a day of tests. Their goal for the month of May for Arkansas is 60,000 tests.
No, that would be a great thing, and I know the government, again, taking the advice of the infectious disease people in Arkansas that do such a good job, but testing is so very important. So the good news is that is freeing up the personal protective equipment that people need to keep themselves safe. As importantly, to keep others safe so that if they've got a problem, they're not spreading it. That is loosening up. So I think there's a lot of good things happening, and we are moving in the right direction. We do have to be vigilant, though, and stay on things and really just use common sense. It's good to be able to get out a little bit now and do some shopping and do the things that we put off. But we still can, practice good common sense, use the face mask when it's appropriate. And again, just the social distancing is, as our moms used to tell us, wash our hands and keep our hands out of our mouths.
That's right. Now, another thing is kind of tell us a little bit what life is now as a senator that is under the COVID-19. You've seen it through 9/11. Now you see it. What's happened here? What is it? Give us a word picture of what you're seeing when you walk down the halls.
Well, in Washington, it really is a unique experience. There's simply nobody in the halls. The Capitol, the office buildings are skeleton staffs. For the most part, people are in their offices. You can walk down any major street in Washington in the middle of the street and not worry about getting hit by traffic. It truly is amazing. This city is always voted in the top 3 as the worst traffic areas in the country. Los Angeles, and again, D.C.'s always thrown in there, places like that. But there simply is no traffic, Bob. It's really eerie. And so Washington is still under a very tight lockdown. I believe they have a curfew in the evening. It's very tight. They're concerned about things getting out of control here. So we're blessed that in Arkansas we've been able to be a little bit more aggressive with the things that we've been able to do.
Well, we want to know something is, did you get your hair cut?
No, I haven't. I need a haircut.
So you look like you're from Arkansas in the hills now. So that's kind of what they're kind of thinking.
And my hair is, when it starts getting longer, then it starts getting a little curly, and so yeah, I desperately need a haircut.
Well, it's funny is because I was able to get a haircut, and I went in at 9 a.m.
That's not fair.
I know, but I went in 9 a.m. Wednesday, and they said, Bob, we can't see you until, and he looks down, and he said at noon, and I said, I can't because I've got to have the governor on at 1:30. I do the news cast for that. And I said, can we do it earlier? He said, I'll squeeze you in at 10:45, and that was on Thursday. Wednesday, though, after I went there on Thursday, I said, how many hair did you guys cut? 91 head of hair in one day. It was a record by far. So
is that right? Yeah. Goodness.
So I'm telling you, it's going to be the same way when they open the restaurant.
I guess there was hair all over the place.
Oh, my gosh. It was amazing. Social distancing. I mean, it was spread out, the most you've ever seen, but it's going to work. It's not much different, really. I mean, everybody was talking like normal in the barbershop, but it was all 6 feet apart, and it worked out real well.
Well, it does make you appreciate things that you take for granted, more, and that's something we're all going to appreciate from this. And then the other thing is I know being in Arkansas for several weeks, I enjoyed my wife's cooking again, and she's a excellent cook, and got into that, and that was just very nice. And we've had some nice things, but this has really been a real tragedy as far as the economy, and then the people that have suffered so much from actually contracting the disease.
Well, I know they told us that you've got meetings back to back and interviews, so we're going to have to wrap up. COVID has changed the way we live, but as you said, Mama always said, keep your hands clean and keep them out of your mouth. So let's do that.
No, that's exactly right.
Well, we appreciate you taking time and talking with us.
Well, thank you so much, as always, Bob. We appreciate you. I'm glad you got a haircut.
Yes, I look better. My wife recognizes me now. And I know we got Mother's Day weekend coming up, and nothing a better time than us getting haircuts. So I know you need to get a haircut.
I do need to get a haircut, but I do want to wish all of our moms a happy Mother's Day and just tell them how much we appreciate them. I consider myself a big, tough guy, but whenever I think of my mom, I always get a little tear in my eye. She was so wonderful to my brother and I and sister, and you think of all the sacrifices, and it really has been fun now to watch two of my daughters with their children interacting in those ways, and it's just such a special thing. So we do appreciate all of our moms, and not just on Mother's Day, but we're so very appreciative for all they do throughout the course of the year during our entire lifetimes. And so, again, happy Mother's Day to everyone.
Thanks again, John. We've been talking with Senator John Boozman here on KFFB's Open Mic. For Timeless 106.1 KFFB, I'm Bob Connell reporting.